Yo, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream show with Shady Magbanua. Steve, you should have changed your name to Charlie. Script is wrong because it makes it sound like it's at some restaurant called Dolce. They misspelled it and they gave the wrong address. But thanks to one of my loyal subscribers, we found out that the transcript is wrong. They really met at a casual gelato cafe called Dolce Vita, which was also on Collins Avenue, and it has since closed down. But the background that you can see on half the screen is a real picture of that tiny little cafe where Katie and Charlie were meeting after the bump back in 2016. Okay, so we're going to just read maybe the first 10 pages straight and then do a little bit of discussion and just try to do as much as we can given the time constraints. So thank you so much, Steve, for being willing to do this. And I like your outfit and the background is appropriate. Thank you.
As you are, but I try.
Okay, go ahead, because I think you have the first line.
If they had any evidence, we would have already gone to the airport. The problem is, even if they bug this, even if they bug your home phone, nobody is going
unintelligible.
Even if they bug your phone, you're still not talking about any of this. So my point is, how do you get people to talk? You throw smoke grenades and then you get all of the cockroaches to run out. There's smoke in the house. There's smoke in the house. And everybody's running and everyone's talking and you throw a smoke grenade. What do you think? Listen, if that's what it was, it's very smart because that means my mom hasn't told my dad anything. My mom knows my dad is going to flip out when he finds out. But my mom hasn't told my dad anything. But normally, obviously, if that was a cop that came and spoke to my mom and that night when he comes home from work, she would say, guess who unintelligible today? Or guess who paid me a little visit when I'm taking the grandkids to school? And then you're unintelligible. She dropped them after, and she was walking home after she dropped them off and was walking back by herself. So this person had to be, because the thing is, a lot of times my mom takes their car and drives them to the school, the kids. This person knew her routine, knows who she is.
Unintelligible.
Yeah, someone may have come up to the office. My dad works Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's probably either get him on the beach or get him at the office up there. They may have approached my mom because my dad may be someone who is carrying a gun. So you never know. You don't want it to turn into a fucking shootout. What? Are we cursing? Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Unintelligible. Shit that I use.
And I could tell you a lot of times I carry a gun on me. I mean, someone comes up to me.
I have mine right next to my inaudible.
You carrying on you right now? I mean, I'm going to start carrying one on my back. The holster that fits in your back. If someone comes up to me, they better be ready to shoot because I'm going to shoot them. If someone comes up to me asking for money in my house.
Unintelligible.
Yeah. And guess what? When the fucking police show up, and there's a doctor, there's an oral surgeon standing there with a dead gang member in his fucking driveway. They're not going to come down too hard on me. And I'm not going to talk anyway. I don't know. I don't trust them.
Unintelligible.
Katie, this is not like some chick showing off tattoos to your man. This is happening and it's serious because these people are going to come back. They didn't go through the trouble of seeking my mom out to hand her that and then go away. So I've got two options. They're not going away. I may wish they'd go away and never come back, but they ain't going away. The trouble they went through.
They're now because unintelligible. There's going to be a point where it's just like, hold on.
Well, with a beard or with a badge?
Either or.
Huh? I don't know. Listen, if a badge comes up to you, tell them, have a nice day, officer. Listen, if they want to charge me with something, charge me. If not, I don't talk to cops. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Perfect.
No, it's very simple. It's like.
Yeah. Unintelligible. That shit. Unintelligible.
If you're going to charge me, charge me.
Yeah. Unintelligible.
Yeah, but things have changed a lot. You know what's changed a lot? There's cameras everywhere. So cops now, they have a fucking pension. When they retire, they're going to get a pension for the next 30 years. Medical, dental, and a salary every month. If they think that, the cameras look, how many cameras are in here? 5? They better be going in a place where there's not a chance that someone doesn't have a camera pointing outside to know the caption of
unintelligible right now.
What I'm saying is that this person is not going away. They came very equipped with details. Where did the details come from? I don't know. The details.
Unintelligible.
Well, because it's one of two things. What else could they? You go to the cops and you give unintelligible information. Okay, I'm going to tell them that my brother did it. I'll go right now and tell them. They're going to say, can you prove it? And I'm going to say no. Did you know what kind of gun was used? I say no. Did you know what kind of a gun was used? I say no. Did you see your brother do it? No. How do you know that it was him? He told me. Okay, he told you. That's called secondhand knowledge, and it's not even admissible. Okay, he told you. What did he tell you? He said, I did it. Even if I went in and said my brother said he did it, you've got to prove it. You've got to put the person on the scene. You've got to understand, in order to prove it, you have to put that person at the scene at the time, not in the car. Because the fact is, it's like, even if, let's say you just sat in the car, right? And then I go ahead and I commit a crime, and then I go, but your DNA is in the car. And I go, yeah, Katie was in my car, and she got out, and she got out, and she did this horrible crime. Okay, so then they come and get the DNA in the car and go, oh, Katie was in the car. No, Katie's cat sat in the car for 2 minutes, and they got in the AC, and then they got out of the car. Katie has nothing to do with me robbing the Burger King. So even if I can prove that, yeah, Katie was with me, can you put Katie at the Burger King? I can put Katie, I could say that she sat in the car. Yeah. What you need to do is get that little bit of evidence from you having been in the car, and then they bring you into an interrogation. They're like, listen, we know that you were in that fucking car, and you're in that car such and such day. We know we've got your DNA. Even if your DNA, your fingerprints, your fucking hair is all over that fucking car, that proves, yeah, congratulations, you were in the car. It's not a crime to sit in the car, okay? You know what I mean? My mom could have sat in the car too. It's not a crime. They have to prove, they have to put you at the scene at the date.
Unintelligible.
2, they said the guy's name was 2-0. I don't even know who the fuck that is. Is there just 2-0?
Unintelligible.
Tudo's incarcerated now, and I know that you've been helping out Katie, and helping your family has been helping out Katie and her family. Now Tudo's family needs your help. My mom was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, well, maybe this will refresh your memory. And he handed it to her.
Unintelligible.
And she said, unintelligible, respect, unintelligible, well-spoken, like polite. She goes, polite and well-spoken. I said, did he act thug, or did he have talk with like a thick Spanish accent or anything? She said, no. I said, was he white or Hispanic? She said he was white, but he could have been Hispanic. But that...
Either way.
Yeah, well, couldn't say. I mean, everybody in Miami is Hispanic, so it's like you can't tell. I talked to you on the phone. It's like talking to some, like, Maria from West Side Story. Like, it could have been like unintelligible. So he wasn't, wasn't strong skinned. She had fucking unintelligible sounding, which was unintelligible, which was very recognizable.
Unintelligible. So recognizable.
With no glasses. I said, unintelligible, no glasses, no hat, unintelligible. She said well-dressed.
Well-dressed?
Yeah, he wasn't like you would have been looking at and you're like, oh, he's a thug. No, she said he was wearing like a shirt and kind of like a little vest, or kind of like a little jacket. And she said he was broad. My mom's like, he was big. My mom's walking away, and my mom goes to the right, and he moves like this as he turned around, and mom's like, oh, sorry, sir, like this. And then he goes, my mom's like, sorry. And he's like, Ms. Adelson. And she's like, yes. He goes, I need to talk with you. Okay, so my mom thought it was like a process server.
Unintelligible. Somebody had to know where your mom... Unintelligible. A lot of knowledge. Unintelligible.
Katie, for $19, if I entered your mom's name and address in the fucking computer, it costs $19 to find out where they probably rented an apartment under their names. So it's probably in the registry or whatever. So it's like, when you're online and it's like $19 or $29.99, find anyone you want. That's all you do. And it shows where they're registered at, and then you locate them. And you know what their kids like, That's all you do. So it's like, when you're online and it's like $19 or $29 and find anyone you want. That's all you do. And it shows where they're registered. And then you locate them and you go online, pull up a picture, and then you sit outside and you wait. You know what their kids look like, because guess what? They're online too.
Unintelligible.
So Katie, they'll be back. These people know about unintelligible. Whoever it is knows information.
Okay, you want to take a break now?
Yeah.
We finished page 12.
Yeah,
okay, so what are your general impressions of this so far?
My general impressions are that it shows culpability on their part. I mean, they're meeting. They felt like it's right after the bump. They need to, kind of explain what went happen, and they're talking about what their alibis might be. And so I think this has been very, very key, evidence. And this obviously helped the audio enhancement back in May of 22, helped, lead to the arrest of Charlie, where he's been in jail since last May. So over like 14 months, it was a significant development, So I think it shows a lot of culpability, them trying to absolve themselves of involvement in this, or trying to rationalize what they were doing.
And with the way Charlie is just talking on and on and on, it sounds like he's low-key freaking out, even though he's trying to play it cool. But look at the date. So this took place April 20th, 2016, which was just a day after the bump. Because the bump, when the undercover agent went up to Donna Adelson with a piece of paper, that was April 19th. So isn't it strange how the two of them had been broken up since after Dan's murder back in 2014? But then suddenly Charlie has to call Katie, has to meet with her, and makes all these bizarre statements that do not indicate innocence whatsoever. Like an innocent person either would have gone to the police or been very confused and would be saying something totally different, such as, Katie, I have no clue, what's this weird guy coming up to my mom and mentioning you? And I think these statements make Charlie seem pretty involved or pretty guilty to me. Just my opinion. Yeah.
And I think it's, and I think there's a lot, even like with what we just have read, like he knows there are cameras around. He alludes to the fact that there's probably 5 cameras in there, and yet they still are going on. I don't think they think they might have suspected that there might have been cameras there. And I think there's a lot of other things here too. Like, did he check her for a wire, that we don't know before this?
Probably not. I mean, it sounds like he's pretty trusting of her when he's talking so freely with her. Yeah. And I saw some more pictures from Yelp of Dolce Vita, which is the small little cafe. And I was surprised at how small this cafe was. So it's pretty amazing that the undercover agent managed to get over there and be inconspicuous enough to record all this. Yeah. Pretty good investigator work there.
It's your show, Asian American Legal Focus, which I think you do a terrific job. And one of the reasons why I wanted to come on with you is I appreciate your dedication to this story. And perhaps maybe we should talk about how I got involved with Surviving the Survivor and why I found it very compelling, and why I appreciate this community of people that we have been, kind of involved with and engendering, And so I just think I appreciate what you've been doing,
Sure.
Like you always go out of your comfort zone. You're a very accomplished lawyer, gone to the best schools, work in great places. And maybe you could talk about why you continue to do this and what it is you're seeking. Like, what's the change you're looking for?
Yeah. Well, how did you even hear about the Dan Markel case?
I mean, I don't think I was a big true crime aficionado to begin with. When I saw the case on Over My Dead Body, I think I just stumbled upon it. And I found it was intriguing, probably for a lot of the same reasons that intrigue Joel and Carmela and John Singer or you or Fancy Fiction or, other people have different reasons, and Mentor Lawyer's done a terrific job. I mean, it's in his backyard with it, but I had seen it on Over My Dead Body, and I felt a Jewish person or a person who spends a lot of time in Florida, like I could identify with both families, and then I think it had, so I think I'd heard it on Over My Dead Body. And then I went down the rabbit hole of thinking of, first as a consumer of news, I found it very interesting. And then as a producer, when I spoke to Joel and Carmela, that was really the first time we did a true crime story. And I felt it was a good fit for them. They're in Miami, where the Adelsons are from, they're Jewish like them. They have a similar family. They've joked like their families like the Adelsons without the murder, and I think that any good story, and I've been a producer for 25, 30 years, has what people talk about, the 4 C's, right? It has characters, consequences, conflict, and comedy, and I think this has all of that, which is why the Over My Dead Body podcast had over 10 million views, and all those stories or podcast people remain to be interested in it. And I think that it's something where, I think what drives me about it is we all have had instances where we've been wronged, and you want to feel that there's justice in the world. You want to feel that there are laws, that you can't just do anything you want. We all might like to get rid of somebody or pretend there's no laws or rules, and there are, and there should be consequences. And when you see that people are able to do it and go up on court and lie and think that they're too good for it or better, or that only certain people should suffer the consequences of their actions and they're above the law, and I think it gets you involved emotionally. People follow things out of emotion. This is soap operas or sports or anything. So for me personally, it had an emotional kind of resonance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. We don't want the bad guys to get away with it. This horrible case where a brilliant law professor was murdered because of children, because the ex-wife wanted to take the kids away and be able to move. So very compelling story. Okay, what do you want to get back to reading then?
Yeah, sure. Okay. You're the headliner.
Okay. You're doing all the reading. So, by the way,
exactly. This is like Penn and Teller. I'm doing like
you're doing like 90% of the talking. See, Charlie was such a jabbermouth. He was gibbers.
He was gibbers, exactly.
Gibbers. By the way, is that your cell phone? Because I keep hearing some.
Yeah, I turned it off. I put it on silent.
Okay.
Rookie mistake.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the transcript then. I think we were at page 13.
Okay. Yeah, I have my Ferrari in the background too. Okay, what?
Unintelligible. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of people that know much about unintelligible.
I didn't mention my name, which makes me think that these people only know part of the story, or they think they know part of the story.
Unintelligible.
Do you think that, let me ask you a question. When everybody was there the next day, did any of you take any money? It's not like you're driving around in a Bentley, cruising around in a mega yacht, Someone he must unintelligible at some point, because otherwise he would have no idea that I had anything to do with unintelligible.
Unintelligible. I feel like unintelligible. And the way that you're describing it, like how they well-dressed, number one, unintelligible. That's not something like unintelligible. Yeah, inaudible.
You can know some things about anything. The problem is this, okay. So this is, go tell the cops. They're gonna ask you, where's the weapon at? You're gonna say, I don't know. How do you know who pulled the trigger? You can say a name, unintelligible. Okay. Did you witness it? And the person is going to say no. The question is, how do you know? So if you didn't witness it, you only heard a rumor on the street that this person did something. Do you know what that's worth? 0. Then what you do is you wear a wire, get this person talking. And if you can get the person to confess on wires, then you have something that you're charging. You have a confession, you have an admission of guilt. Outside of that, there is no evidence, okay? You have a car and you can link this person to renting that car that's used at the scene of the crime, okay? But you have to also prove that they were also driving that day too. They didn't rent it and then lent it to a friend. What if you rented a car today? I go, Katie, can I borrow it for the weekend and I'll bring it back on Tuesday? You go, yeah, sure. So you rented a car. You've been in that car. I drive it to fucking Orlando. I rob a McDonald's in Orlando. I come back and I go, here's the keys, Katie. And you go, okay, thanks. Yeah, you rented it, but or what if you were fucking out all weekend and you didn't even know I took your car and I did something and I brought it back? Okay. My point is, I don't have any knowledge of what went on. Unintelligible. Evidently, this person's either pretending to or does. I don't want someone paying visits to my parents.
Unintelligible.
It could. I wish that I was a cop playing. It was a cop playing games. Why didn't they know it was me? If it was a cop playing games or an investigator playing games, and they didn't mention me. They did mention your son's girlfriend, Katie, not mention me at all. Unintelligible, my family. And I think if they thought I had something to do with it, they would find me and they'd talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, go talk to the person who's involved, not fucking people who aren't involved. And I'm not involved. But if they knew your relationship is with me, not my family. Like, I dated you, not my mom. I knew my dad's name. This person obviously doesn't even know that we dated. That's a direct connection, is who was her boyfriend, the 71-year-old guy, Dr. Adelson, or the 37-year-old Dr. Adelson? Yeah, 37. Let's go talk to him, Dr. Adelson. That's who they'd talk to, not waste your time with mom. They needed to talk to someone who knew what the fuck went on. And so wouldn't it make sense that your connection to my family is me? Your connection to my family is not my mom. Like, yeah, you work for the office now because the checks are from there. And that's just because you come in and work on the weekends, which I trust that you're doing because I'm never there when I see you. You tell me you do it and the place looks clean. So you get your checks, you clean up, whatever. But that's neither here nor there. This person knows information. And even if they are cops, that information said your name. And they also know that they're claiming that somebody who had something to do with it is incarcerated. I don't know anybody in jail.
Unintelligible.
My point is, I don't want this coming back. I don't have a problem helping the community out, but I don't want this community to come back next month. And what I think happens, if I pay them money, they're going to be back again and again and again. They've got to make more money. Unintelligible. It's not a cop. We'll take this route. We already addressed it. If it is a cop, if it's a cop, I'm happy because I've got nothing to hide. Okay. If it's not a cop, unintelligible. If it is a cop, I think unintelligible. It would be so easy to do. You've got to understand something. And they sit down and they tell the police what happened. First, they're going to ask my parents to take a lie detector test, which they won't do, just for the simple reason that those things give false positives all the time, which unfortunately makes you look bad because it's like, okay, we just feel that way, that nothing to hide. But 99% of people, if they have nothing to hide, take a lie detector test. It makes you look bad if they're like, Katie, you want to take a lie detector test if you shot JFK? And you're like, yeah, I'll fucking take a test. And I'm going home afterwards. All right. Make it quick because you didn't shoot JFK.
Unintelligible.
Right? And you're right. Let me explain something to you. If we go to the police, this is going to put a spotlight on the investigation. The FBI. We're talking about a big wig in the FBI, not like the first year rookie. You're going to have a 20-year-old vet with the FBI knocking at your door, wanting to speak with you and wanting to speak with your attorney. Unintelligible. This made not only national news. This was in London. My family in London was calling. You know what the BBC News is? The British Broadcasting News. This was on the BBC News.
Inaudible.
Okay, that doesn't matter. This made the BCT News. This was on Good Morning America. This was on the New York Times. This was a big story. So, well, listen, you didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Unintelligible.
Well, prove it. The next question is prove it. And I don't have time. I've got a problem with this. If you want to arrest me, fucking arrest me. I'm not going to sit here and show you the photos of all the dick pictures I took of myself.
Inaudible.
Like, I mean, why can't you have my phone? Because I've got tons of nude photos of myself on my phone. You're not looking at dick pictures of myself all day too. So why don't you come back with a warrant so you can look at all much the dick pictures you want of me? I'm serious. I don't want them laughing at my pee-pee.
Unintelligible.
The point is, okay, I don't like cops and you're not getting my dick pics of myself. So have a nice day. So that's my answer, okay? If you think I did something, arrest me, charge me, and that's it. That's it. Now, I don't want these people coming back. If they're cops, I'm happy because I have nothing to hide. If they're a bad guy, there's two ways of dealing with it. One is go ahead and contact the Miami Beach Police Department.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll contact this guy. They'll talk to him on the phone. They'll arrange for the things to be set up.
Yeah.
Okay, and when it's set up, there'll be like a fucking SWAT team in place and fucking FBI. And they're going to fucking take this guy down, and then he will prop for 10 years because we just have you on tape extorting somebody. Now tell us everything you know, or else you're going to serve 10 years in prison. Is it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next thing you know, this person is singing. Other people start singing. As soon as they have him, he starts calling your name out. Oh, my parents are going to have to say, yeah, this guy came and he said that. They're going to ask the story of what happened. There's going to be police at your door, at my door. It's going to be
my name.
They're going to want, and then they're going to check out anybody who got bailed out of jail, unintelligible, bailed out of jail. And then they're going to be, it's not going to be cops. It's going to be fucking big boys flying in to see what they can come up with, okay? And then that's probably going to make the newspaper.
Inaudible.
I want to give them the money, but what I don't want to get involved in is next Tuesday's asking for $10,000. So this was my idea. I give you money, you contact unintelligible. Listen, this is why I'm saying it. I give you money, you talk to him on the phone.
Unintelligible.
You say I'm just because my head's fucking spinning. So you now know what I know. Whoever the guy is, I don't know who he is. And these people are going to call you. Say my friend. Say I call the guy up and say, I got a call from so-and-so. I got a call from somebody who said you reached out to them. That's all I want you to say. I got a call from so-and-so and that you reached out to them. These people.
Unintelligible.
These people, all right, unintelligible. This is what I want you to do. I want you to call this person and say that I got a call from some friends of mine who says that you reached out to them and that you mentioned my name. And remember, unintelligible, protect your name recently. So what you're going to say is, I got a call from some friends of mine who said that you had reached out and that you had mentioned my name. These people want to go to the police because they had nothing to do with what you're talking about, okay? And frankly, I don't know what you're talking about, but the name sounds familiar of who's incarcerated. So I'm going to give you something as charity to help the less fortunate. But do not contact these people again, or they're going to the police. And let them know that you had to do everything in the world to prevent these people from going to the police because they don't know anything and I don't know anything. And that the name sounds a little familiar. That I'm going to help you out with some charity, and don't ever contact me, my friends, or my family again. We will go to the police. That way he gets his money. He also knows that you know everything, that you may have a friend who may not be so cool, unintelligent, what's going on too, may know people who knows how to handle people like this, and that this is a fucking one-time thing. And this is charity to help somebody out, less fortunate. You believe in karma, and that's the only reason it's being done. If it happens again, they're going to bring it to the police. And then the whole time you're talking, you just say, I don't know at all what's going on. I was just called at 5:30 shaken over this. They're scared. And I told them that we're going to try and help this inaudible, help these people, but that's it. You don't use anything other than the words help and charity. And then you're going to ask that you leave these people alone or they're going to the police. That's all I was able to come up with. If it's the police, they can't take the money. They won't even come meet you. They fucked up. If it's this guy, maybe in the back of he knows unintelligible, fuck off times a million. And then now he's fucking with his wife and he's fucking with him, and you fuck with unintelligible, you fuck with the king himself, you better kill him because he's going to be a big problem. And he knows who you are. If you can't do it, he'll have someone else do it. And so help me God, if they fuck with my family, it's going to be like fucking that Nazi shit because this will be done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Katie, I don't care what I spent. Okay. I swear to God, Katie. And the person doesn't know.
Okay. Want to stop here? Catch your breath?
Yeah, we'll stop with the Nazi.
You need something to drink? I'm sorry.
Why not? That's a good idea.
You have to do so much of the reading. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, the stuff on page 13 really jumped out at me. So we'll just highlight that up there.
Yeah. Why don't I'm going to go get a drink and I'll come right back.
Okay, get a drink.
Okay.
Poor Steve. He has been doing 95% of all the talking because that's the way Charlie is. And the agent was sitting closer to Charlie. So that's why most of what Katie was saying is unintelligible. So let's scroll all the way up to page 13. There was also something on page 16 that jumped out too. Page 13, it's where Charlie is wondering, like, how come they didn't mention my name? They didn't mention my name, which makes me think that they don't, these people only know part of the story, or they think they know part of the story. And then he starts talking about when everybody was there the next day, did any of you take any money? It's not like you're driving around in a Bentley, cruising around in a mega yacht, you know. If Charlie had no idea what happened with the murder of Dan Markel, then why would he be talking about what really did happen in real life, which was that the next day after Dan Markel was shot, that was the money drop where Katie got money from somebody, possibly Charlie, and brought the big bag full of cash, stapled cash, to dole it out between herself and Luis Rivera and Sigfredo. So that was very interesting and not good for Charlie's case. I mean, the whole thing in general is, in my opinion, is not good for his case, even though he claims I had nothing to do with it. Well, you know, that's the way Charlie likes to talk, to try to persuade himself about certain things, and also just keep preaching at people. So page 16, bottom of page 15, that's where he says, I wish that it was a cop playing games. Why didn't they know it was me? If it was a cop playing games or an investigator playing games and they didn't mention me, they did mention your son's girlfriend, Katie. Okay, so more interesting statements from Dolce Vita, where it does sound really bizarre. If you had no involvement in your former brother-in-law's murder, then why would you be rambling on and on and on nonstop with somebody who has already been convicted of murder, going off, trying to tell the person about how to react?
I feel like it's kind of like that joke, you know, like, and I think you acknowledged it because, like, Charlie at the Dolce Vita recording, the headline performer, right? Like, he's dominating the thing, and it reminds me of that line about, like, oh, that's like a ham and egg sandwich, where the chicken says, sure, no problem, they just got to give up an egg, but the pig says, wait a minute, I got to give up a leg. So in this scenario, I'm doing a little bit more, but it's your show, you're killing it, you look great as Katie. But I think that you're committed. I mean, and explain to me why you commit. You know what I mean? You performed, and I encourage people who haven't seen a lot of this, go back and watch your performances as Donna, as Junam Chinda. You know, you've shown your musical talents. I think it's very compelling, and or I guess during the SAG-AFTRA strike, maybe you need to stop acting, in honor of them for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just having fun. And, of course, we all have respect and we all care about Dan Markel and getting justice for him and the family. I just feel like there are other avenues to try to get the word out, educate people about this case. And at times, there are things that are really funny about the case, like Donna's crazy unhinged emails and Donna acting like she's totally insane, so it's just, there's so much comedic fodder in this case, even though it is a very serious, horrible crime, that anything I can do to bring more attention to this horrible tragedy and murder mystery, is it kind of makes me feel productive, like I'm trying to help to get the word out, do what we can, because there's really no new news until Charlie's, I guess maybe his case management hearing August 25th, and then the trial in late October. So, until then, I just have to do whatever I can, even if it means looking like an idiot or a goofball on YouTube. Some people really enjoy it, although some people have said negative things also. But it's all just
But
to bring more news or more eyes on this case.
But here's in a small way, right? I think like even my decision just to come in and get out of my comfort zone and wear a backwards hat.
Thank you. You look like you're like some guy having a midlife crisis.
Correct. But I feel like, because when you were like, well, do you mind reading this? And I was like, I probably look more like a Harvey than a Charlie, because it's not, and he's not that much younger than I am, Charlie. And I imagine prison life is going to age him appreciably. But I think it's kind of like bad things happen when good people allow them to happen, right? And I appreciate people sticking to things and wanting to seek justice. It's not always easy. It's not always quick. And so in a small way, like I appreciate fancy fiction and you and true lifestyles and all of these people who are seeking justice. And Karen Cyphers has done an amazing job. And to say, you know what, and all those friends of Dan or other people to say, you know what, this is wrong. And people who are kind of ignoring what happened, what this family apparently did, and allowing them to live their lives as if nothing happened, it's wrong. And that's not the way society should be. So, in the very least, I should do that as well, and so,
Yeah.
So I think it's very commendable, that you're doing it. And so I know that you got up to page 16 or so on the transcript. Yeah. And
okay, so I can see some of the comments there. I haven't been able to read all the comments, but Adam wants to know maybe if we somehow got Wendy to be on the show. I doubt it. I mean, she will say she asserts, or she will write some witty comeback like she did to Steve Epstein, and saying, "How dare you use my personal tragedy for your own personal gain," or something like that. Yeah, thank you guys. All the regulars seem to be here. Thanks for being here. Bar is here. I know Helen. Yeah, sorry, I can't seem to address all that. Oh, I'm trying to take my sunshines away. Okay. Yeah, I know it's really silly. And somebody said that she was cringing, even though she likes my channel. And another person said that doing these comedic things is really a negative for my channel. And she kind of hinted that she wished I would stop doing the funny stuff. But hey, what else am I supposed to come up with? There's no new news that's been made public in the case. So anyway, thank you guys for still supporting this channel and not unsubscribing despite the bad singing and the mediocre bad dancing and rolling around on the floor and stuff. So, okay, you ready? Ready to get back? Okay, go ahead.
I swear to God, Katie, this person doesn't know. Oh, inaudible. I can't remember where we were. Okay. This person knows unintelligible, big deal, unintelligible, little, unintelligible, may not know anything.
Okay. Inaudible.
This person knows unintelligible, big deal, unintelligible, little, unintelligible, may not know anything.
Unintelligible.
Think they.
Unintelligible.
What? No.
Unintelligible.
Right? So he knows I have you on the salary. Unintelligible. You think he'd be happy to know that?
Unintelligible. Of course.
He doesn't have any bad feelings towards me, does he? Our paths never crossed. I didn't know that the two of you would be working out. Kind of like unintelligible.
It's not like that.
It's not where it's like I fucking was around when you guys were together and then I hopped in when you walked out. Like, that's a different story. That's disrespectful.
Unintelligible.
With my mom, there's no.
Unintelligible.
What?
Unintelligible.
How? I mean, unintelligible. Remember, like, unintelligible, we were separated, and like unintelligible, and you either unintelligible continuation, unintelligible travel. I think I'm gonna stop saying unintelligible.
Okay,
parents know, especially we had annoying or whatever. But it's not like that. Yeah, no, I've never, and I was. I mean, Katie, I'll go to the moon and back for you. That's without even saying. I don't even need to say that.
But that's what, it's like.
You know what I'm saying?
Unintelligible. Help me out. Help me out.
Like, you know it. I don't even have to sit here and tell you what I would do. I could show you what I could do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how I am. Like, I look for things to do. You don't ask me for shit. I'm the one that's like, hey, Noah's birthday's coming up. I got you. You know, I'm the one who's like, anything I can, you know, you don't ask. I'm the one who is like, hey, I'll sell you the Lexus for a very good price. I know you're having car problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one who I don't have to tell you. I show you. There's a difference.
Unintelligible.
So what do you think?
Inaudible.
He needs to know that it's going to go down one of two ways. Like, you're either fucking with me or you're fucking with the police. Pick which one.
Unintelligible.
He said 2-0, and he helped your family out. And I know you've been helping Katie out. Your family has been helping Katie out, and his family needs some help now. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, maybe this will help explain it to you. They did not go through the trouble of finding her and putting that thing together and then giving that thing to her without, and then just going to go away. It ain't going away.
Inaudible.
What's that?
Inaudible.
Listen, if it's the cops.
Inaudible.
The problem is if you give in to, like, if my mom meets him, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll meet you tomorrow in front of the building, and he just drives up and she hands him 5 G's. What the fuck do you think is going to happen next month? It's going to be, oh, he needs your help again. You know what I mean? The thing is, if my parents were really guilty, they may think that they have a big fish on the line that's going to pay them monthly, and all they have to do is scare this little old lady. And who is she going to go to? She's going to go to the cops. She's guilty as hell. You have to let them know that these people are not afraid of going to the cops. They've got nothing to hide, okay? So you're the one they reached out to, and they said, you need to say that they reached out to me because you mentioned my name.
Unintelligible. Why would you ever think unintelligible? Want to reach out? Unintelligible. Somebody that obviously unintelligible. You know that. Unintelligible. That would have been more like personal. Unintelligible. With this whole thing, unintelligible. Your mom.
I'm more afraid of the long term, like knock at the door again and again and again and again. This is
unintelligible.
Why not? Because I don't think they want to mess with his connections.
Yeah.
He like so far removed that he's.
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't have anybody that he can call up that's like.
Yeah.
You giving somebody money is not an admission of any kind of guilt.
Okay, that's the end of part 1 of the transcript there. Steve, how's your voice? Do you feel like you're going hoarse, or you need to stop?
Pretty good. Yeah, I feel like we can keep going. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good place to stop there, and then I'll look at part 2. But so what are you seeing so far here?
Well, it was surprising because I had kind of forgotten that he said something about how his mom is guilty as hell. Because you just read that.
Right.
Toward our last segment. So it's like, is she going to go to the cops? She's guilty as hell. Interesting that Charlie said that. But of course, just as Rashbaum was rationalizing Katie's proffer and trying to minimize it, he could say, well, these are just statements that pulled out of context might, hint at guilt, but, it's really no big deal, blah, blah.
But she feels guilty.
Yeah. Well, so once again, it's kind of like weird hearing Charlie just railroading or commandeering the whole conversation, like he's dictating to Katie and just rambling. This is just so similar to the way Jeffrey Lacasse described Charlie's behavior.
Yeah. And I think in some of the podcasts you saw that, like he's the maestro, or Charlie knows everything, or Charlie's never wrong. And thanks to Nancy,
tell people how the world works.
Yeah, he likes the sound of his own voice, and I think he likes. Yeah, I think he's very self-assured. He's very confident, and it's kind of in the 2020 piece. somebody said, well, is that a reason to kill somebody or something? And they said, is there ever a good reason to kill somebody? And it makes me think of, I think he's justifying what he did, and he's very sure of himself,
and he still thinks he's going to get away with it. You know,
do you think he feels that way? While we're on that topic, do you think he thinks that? What do you think? 13 months in the slammer or whatever, how long it's been, is starting to seep in. How do you think he feels about that?
Well, I mean, when I just mentioned that he thinks he's going to get away with it, I was referring to during the time of this conversation back in 2016. But True Lifestyles, another YouTuber, has been showing more prison or jail records about Charlie. And so apparently Charlie has been freaking out in jail.
Oh, interesting.
And he has been noted to be pacing around in his cell, talking to himself. And it looks like they had to take him for some sort of mental health check. Although I'm not sure how long ago that was. It could have been earlier this year, maybe February, but I'm just guessing. So you guys definitely take a look at True Lifestyles.
Yeah, she does a great job. Definitely props to her. And it has to be such a difference. So all of you potential criminals out there, I mean, crime doesn't pay, get divorced, split custody, figure out other ways to do things.
Don't let your mom run your life when you're a grown adult.
Yeah. And you think that's what part of it was, right? He wanted to be the hero. He was very concerned with how he appeared and having a lot of outward signs of, he wanted to be the hero, right? Mm-hmm. He wanted to be the person who solved things, a fixer for his family, regardless of what the consequences were.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you ready to do part 2?
I'm ready to rock steady.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so once again, this is April 20th, 2016 at Dolce Vita Gelato Cafe. Okay, go ahead. You're the one who starts.
So what do you think? There's no way my mom's going to call this guy up, because you've got to understand, he needs to know that it's going to go down one of two ways. Like, you're either fucking with me or you're fucking with the police. Pick which one.
22, unintelligible. 80 years, unintelligible. Me, unintelligible. Can you even tell me unintelligible?
He didn't threaten. He said, Tudo is incarcerated, and I know your family, and he helped your family out, and I know you've been helping Katie out.
Been helping Katie out?
Your family has been helping Katie out, and his family needs some help now. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, like, well, maybe this will help explain it to you. Call me. And he handed it to her. He did not go through that trouble of finding her and putting that thing together and handing it to her and then he's just going to go away. He ain't going away.
With you.
What's that?
Unintelligible. Because number one.
What's that?
Unintelligible. I said I've spoken to you since number one. Shit.
Listen, if it's the cops.
Unintelligible. And number two, I don't want somebody fucking unintelligible. Your mom and unintelligible.
Well, the problem is, if you give in to if my mom meets him, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll meet you tomorrow in front of the building, and he just drives up and she hands him 5 G's. What the fuck do you think is going to happen next month? It's going to be, oh, he needs your help again. You know what I mean? And the thing is, if my parents were really guilty, they think that they may have a big fish on the line that's going to pay them monthly, and all they have to do is scare this little old lady. And who is she going to go to? She's going to go to the cops. She's guilty as hell. You have to let them know that these people are not afraid of going to the cops. They've got nothing to hide. Okay, so you're the one they reached out to, and they said, you need to say that they reached out to me because you mentioned my name.
Unintelligible. Why would you ever think unintelligible? Want to reach out? Unintelligible. Somebody that obviously unintelligible. You know that unintelligible. That would have been more like personal, unintelligible. With this whole thing, unintelligible. Your mom.
I'm more afraid of the long term, like knock at the door again and again and again and again. This is
unintelligible.
Why not? Because I don't think they want to mess with Does he still have his connections?
Yeah.
Is he like so far removed that he's like
Yeah, of course.
he doesn't have anybody that he can call up that's like
yeah. Yeah.
you listen, you giving somebody some money is not an admission of any kind of guilt. Like it's like, listen, if you gave me money now, this is the one and only time. I don't know what this is about. I'm just telling you. You know how you can say things without saying it? Like just the way he said it. Like he said he needs your help. He was there for you. And his family needs your help now. Yeah, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to scare her. He didn't scare her, but just his presence. You have to understand his presence. My mom had diarrhea all night. Hasn't been eating and she's been up since 2 a.m. with diarrhea. Like, how do you think that feels with? My mom's 65 years old and up since 2 a.m. with fucking diarrhea.
Who? Unintelligible. Unintelligible.
I don't know.
Inaudible.
My head was, when I was leaving the house, I literally had the bag out and I had it in my car with my car keys.
Unintelligible.
I know. Well, if you want, you guys can swing by my house later. So what are we doing?
Unintelligible.
I want you to take it back, write the number down, and I'm going to give you cash. And I want you to talk to 712. What? 6570. There can't be that many people. If it's a real number. I mean, the guy didn't have glasses or a hat. Can I tell you something else? Also, yeah. What's shocking too is that so they could see who it is. Let me just put it this way. He's thinking he's blackmailing somebody. You're putting yourself out there to catch a mole. Because when you're blackmailing someone's got a couple options to either take care of you or, hey, okay, you're blackmailing somebody who had no problem possibly doing bad things. Blackmail somebody who were banging their secretary, okay? Not blackmail somebody over fucking like
unintelligible.
My office in the morning, and then I'm in Weston in the afternoon. I know. I'm going to do a special case for someone. But it's like if you're going to blackmail someone that's cheating on their wife, don't come, because the thing is these are the big boys. Like if this is what I'm saying here. This is what it's actually revolving around, okay? It's actually revolving around this horrible
unintelligible.
This is what I'm saying. If you're blackmailing somebody, you potentially have the ability to get something like this done. You've got a fucking set of balls, because they may make you shut up real quick, which makes me think without a doubt he didn't come there alone. He came there with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And then this is the next thing. You ready? What if his homeboys want some money? All he does is he walks up and he goes, Miss Adelson, and so his family needs help. Meanwhile, this dude's family ain't getting shit. We just got a bunch of scumbags knocking on my door going, someone needs help. Well, guess what? I don't have anything to do with what happened down there. You don't. I don't know anyone who does. I don't know who Trudeau even fucking is, okay? Like, I don't know these people. So my point is, the problem is, once you pay, you're going to get every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry showing up going, hey, somebody needs help. Go to the fucking police. I don't care. Go to the police. Tell them what you know. I'll tell them what I know. Nothing. Because I don't. FBI, 5 a.m. Hey, you know who this is coming from? Inside. I don't know anybody that's got that facial hair, just a 5-day shadow. All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That was a lot of reading. I hope your throat isn't hurting.
Good. I'm used to talking. I've had friends who say like, oh, one time I didn't speak to Steve in 3 months. I didn't want to interrupt him, but I just haven't spoken in the words of a murderer.
Okay, so thank you guys. Yeah, and I appreciate how quickly you were speaking too, because I was afraid we wouldn't even have enough time to do all this. But we finished.
But he talks fast,
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Steve. So the Markel case just really grips me in the same way, even though I never had the privilege of knowing Dan Markel, but I do know some people who knew him, or I sort of know people who knew him, since my ex-husband is a law professor. So we all kind of traveled in these sort of similar circles. And I also lived in DC for a while. Dan was at that meat market, which is the job placement conference for people who want to become law professors. He was there the year after my ex and I were also there at the Wardman Park Hotel trying to get jobs with different law schools. So I really identified with this Markel case also, as well as Wendy, since Wendy was the reluctant trailing spouse who got dragged along to Florida State University because Dan was the superstar and he had the tenure track law professor job. So it kind of resonated with me a lot because I felt like, oh, this is our story too. So yeah, except my divorce did not end in a horrible court battle or custody relocation issues, nor did it end in murder.
But we see, and a survivor and a survivor, we've done a lot of these stories where they're like people involved in fraying relationships or husbands who kill their wives or crimes of passion per se. And what about in your role as a family law attorney? Mm-hmm. I feel like there's always going to be emotions. There are always going to be things that you don't like and don't want to accept. And this is why there are laws, right? Like you have to compromise. This is what
you have to listen to what the judge orders. You have to abide by the court order, instead of thinking like, well, I don't like the court order and it was with prejudice, so might as well kill off the guy so I can get out of here. Yeah. So, but of course, disclaimer is that, Wendy and Donna and Harvey Adelson have not been charged with any crimes. It's only Charlie Adelson who has been arrested and is in jail right now. So, but anyway, these are all just our opinions based on what's publicly available information.
And I guess I'll make a comment just based on my experience, right? So in TV, I covered a lot of big crime-related stories. Elizabeth Smart I did a lot with, or John Benet Ramsey even, and a lot of it was, okay, I think to some degree there was probably a disproportionate amount done to maybe, or fewer stories done about people of color, right? Or that nature. But a lot of these stories were based on, okay, people were keeping it in the news, or there were things that drew you to these people. Either you could identify with the way they looked, or you looked at it and said, well, that could be my daughter that happened to, or this could be me. And we should always be thinking that if this happened, to me, and I'm Ruth Markel or Phil Markel or Shelley Markel, or let's face it, their children, wouldn't you want there to be some justice there? And I applaud people who really keep pushing for it when maybe there are other news stories that supersede it. But I think when I was in TV, we didn't have, the internet to this extent. We didn't have true crime podcasts that you could just give so much more airspace to. And, in TV, they're going to move on to the next story. Today, they caught the person the Gilgo Beach murderers in Long Island who killed all the serial killer there. Or it could be the Morphew story. It could be Brian Koberger. It could be any number of stories or the Utah mom that take precedence and take away these stories from the headlines. But people like you and Mentor Lawyer and Fancy and True Lifestyles and Joel and Carmela and, keep these stories alive. And I know people like Ruth and Robert Wan's family and, the Morphew family, those people appreciate the Richens family, these people perpetuating it, because people have short attention spans and they're kind of like, why should I care? Or as the biggest radio station in the world says, WIIFM, what's in it for me?
Mm-hmm.
And what's in it for you is there should be a sense of justice and we're creating a better world or karma. I think these are all good things.
Yeah, that's why we do what we do. So you've brought up a good point that, certain cases seem to get a lot more national publicity. So that's why on my channel, I didn't want to just keep focusing on things that are already all over the media. like the Gwyneth Paltrow case, the Johnny Depp case, the Murdaugh case already got tons and tons of publicity. There are plenty of other, horrible, senseless murders. There was a murder of a neurosurgeon up in Detroit that, I'd like to look into some more. I don't think that's
I've seen
publicity.
that.
Yeah, Dr. Hoover. And of course, the Robert Wone case, because I care about it, but there are so many horrible crimes going on. And I did also want to, give a shout out to Surviving the Survivor for doing more coverage about the Ellen Greenberg case, because I didn't even know about it until True Lifestyles did a video about it. But that case happened, in 2011? Or quite a while ago. And it's still unsolved. The murderer has not been brought to justice. And it's just ridiculous that the authorities basically said that it was a suicide.
Yeah.
When she was stabbed, 2,000 times, more than that?
Stabbed over 20 times. And I'm sorry, nobody's going to stab themselves that many times, and
as suicide.
Yeah. And and there's a lot of factors there. And I think that, I think it's, you hope that Sandy Greenberg and Josh Greenberg and their family and all of Ellen's loved ones get justice, for this, and I think that there have been like 150,000 signatures, or they're trying to call upon people in Pennsylvania to kind of reopen the case and get going. And you see a lot of people, and we've seen this with the Stephen Smith case in North Carolina, and some of these people have a vested interest in doing it, maybe financial or other reasons. But, I think the ends justify the means, and you'd like to see justice for these people, because again, what if it were you? What if you were people who lost your only child, a beautiful daughter, or your only son, or you're in somebody and for something so pointless and stupid and evil?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you're obviously in Florida now. So do you happen to have any connection with the Adelsons through your Florida connections? Or do you know people who know them?
Yeah. I think, and I think Joel does too, because Joel is in Miami, and I think like, like secondhand or whatever, but so I'm not really in Miami where they are. They're probably an hour north of where I spend a lot of time. I live in New York mostly, but I think that I think that's probably what drew us to it. Like they're very familiar to us, those people. This is, I think John Singer's articulated this. Joel has, articulated this. Like, I come from a similar family. I come from a family that's very enmeshed in each other's lives, and when one of us has an issue, we probably all want to rally behind them, or, but we draw the line at allegedly hiring contract killers to kill one of our spouses, so, but I think, again, I remember watching a documentary on, the Bloods and Crips, and they showed LA County Jail, and in big letters it said, there's no right way to do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. There's no right way to do the wrong thing. It's just that simple, so, and, we give people the benefit of the doubt, and, they haven't been charged, but we did watch a lot of their actions, whether it was Wendy Adelson on the stand twice wearing the same kind of clothes, and just having a lot of comments and actions that defy credulity, and I should take a moment to acknowledge Carl and John Steinbeck. They do a fantastic job on Jury Trial Mentor, and and where he found 120 reasons why he thinks Wendy was involved, so and you've been on Surviving the Survivor talking about it, so it's certainly
well,
think, like, as transcript shows, like, innocent people don't necessarily act like this, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. The whole Dolce Vita transcript is remarkable in that overall, it's like, if you were not involved, why would you be saying any of this stuff? All the stuff that Charlie was saying. I mean, even on Fancy Fiction, she had a wiretap phone call between Charlie. Hi, Fancy. Thanks for being here. Between Charlie and some male friend right after Sigfredo got arrested, and it was in the news. And both of them sounded really bummed out in that phone call. Like, did you see the news? You know, and I'm like, okay, if you had nothing to do with Dan Markel's murder, wouldn't you be a little bit happy even if you didn't like the guy? Wouldn't you be like, oh my God, I can't believe they finally found who killed Dan? You know, this is, you know, finally, you know, you'd be a little bit happier than as opposed to, oh my God, did you hear the news? You know, like being all worried because they were involved or the family was probably involved.
And I think also, to your credit, your great renditions of the Donna emails, I think if she, like, you could very simply say, if she didn't act like that and was a better kind of buffer to her daughter and said, listen, we know you've been kind of the golden child or princess your whole life, or you've been through this, tough times happen, here's how we're going to get through it, and you have other options. And if she didn't work her up in a frenzy by demonizing a guy who was a good dad, offering to have her kid, you know, suggesting her kids wear Nazi regalia, you know, calling them gibbers, you know, and all of this kind of things, you know. And again, it doesn't mean Dan Markel was a perfect person. You know, he had his faults like anybody else. And that's why you deal with it. 50% of people get divorced, you get divorced, and this doesn't happen, you know. So, but I guess what I would applaud people like, you know, all of the people who keep the heat on about this is Fancy will call out those people by name, those people who've been on interviews supporting people. And I know from my experience, you know, if I was in that, but like if I had friends of mine who did disreputable things, and we all have had people do that, we don't have to stand by them. You know what I mean? They broke that contract. You know what I mean? I stood by you until you paid somebody to kill them. You know, we've been in those situations in our family where we've had somebody do things, and it doesn't mean we went to all our bar mitzvahs and my sister's bat mitzvahs and their family friends, and they did stuff that's wrong. And there's loyalty and sticking by people. And then there's, you know, being an ostrich or putting your head in the sand and having no morals. And so I wasn't, if I'm some of these other people who are friends with them, people who profess to care about parenting or, you know, the role of fathers in their life, they weren't the ones who decided to kill somebody or, you know, to be involved with it, you know, with such, so like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's
okay. Well, it looks like people in the chat have been going back and forth about Lacasse. Like, was he a good guy, or was he bad for sticking it through with Wendy? Well, I don't, like Fancy said, I'm kind of in agreement with Fancy from what little I'm seeing from the comments here. I don't have time to read it all right now. But I mean, I think Jeff Lacasse was one of the most credible witnesses there on the stand. You know, like
he was credible in the interrogation. He was like, no, he was very matter of fact. This is right after it happened. Here's my car. He didn't change his story, right? Like when people say, tell the truth, you only have to tell it once. You know, they didn't change their story a lot. He seemed to have a lot of alibis. He was very calm, cool, collected. And
yeah, and he wanted to help. It was very clear from his police interviews, and then also on the stand, he was not there to hide anything. He wasn't trying to be wishy-washy or change his story like June Chinda looked like she was trying to do, or those employees from the Adelson Institute. So, you know, I give Jeff Lacasse's testimony a lot of weight, and I think the jury did too. So,
absolutely.
I mean, it's, I mean, just think back to when you were a young guy, in your 30s or whatever. Like, did you get bamboozled by beautiful women that were trying to take advantage of you or
Happens to me
use you?
now. It's happened to me.
Oh,
Trust
it
me.
happens now.
Yeah, well, happened certainly then, and happened recently, sure. And I think that's part of it. I think we've all been in situations where we could perceive ourselves to be victims. It's like I think Katie Cool Lady might be on now. And everybody has like a reason why in their own life where they might have been a victim or been dealt with a bad hand. And watching some of these people, it helps you because you're like, well, if they can get through it, or if they can handle themselves with grace and dignity and move on and persevere, then so can I. But yes, I could definitely relate to Jeffrey Lacasse. I could relate to Dan Markel. I could relate to situations where, you were involved with somebody you probably shouldn't have been involved with, and it didn't work out well. And I'm sure Jeffrey Lacasse looks at it and says, as bad as it was, for me, it could have been worse. I was dealing with somebody who had sociopathic tendencies and was dishonest and used me and, treated me like an option when I was only a priority to them and was just patently dishonest. He was open and he was vulnerable and he wanted certain things from her. And she treated him like, just like, okay, like
Expendable, just like Dan
expendable.
was treated, in our
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because what I also found sad was that not only did the children lose their father, but they had also started getting close with Jeff
yeah,
because Jeff supposedly had to help take care of the kids sometimes. And um, I don't want to say something incorrect, but I seem to recall that he might have said he was even taking care of the kids when she was probably out cheating on him.
yeah, yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, so then after Dan was murdered, Wendy barely wanted to even keep in touch with Jeff anymore, or she was dodging his texts or not responding to him. So Jeff, being a nice guy, he bought a book about grieving for children and had it sent to the kids. And then that was it. Like he never got to see the kids again, as far as I know. So suddenly that relationship was crushed too. So it's like, what where are the kids in all of this? How did they deal with it? Those poor children.
And yeah, I think, look, it's like, I think now in like the true crime space, or when it's become, everybody uses words like sociopath or narcissist, or and may I don't know how many percent of people are narcissists, but these are narcissistic behaviors. Thinking like what about it's like, just because you're in pain, everybody has to suffer. It doesn't matter. It's only about what you want and what you need, and
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what everybody else, and that should take priority. And these are the actions of these people. And unfortunately, I would characterize myself in that situation. It seems like you might be, or most people are empathic, and they see people, whether you're Wendy Adelson, and I think Jeffrey Lacasse was a good person and believed her. He didn't have a criminal mind. He probably felt like, wow, here's this woman who's with some abusive, haughty husband, and I really need to help her. She's in this town that she doesn't want. And then he realized, like, that's the story she was giving him, and that maybe there was some truth to it, but she wasn't being objective, and um, and so I'm sure he looks back and says, this is somebody who painted a picture of Dan Markel and demonized him to serve her own purposes, and but um, I don't know. I mean, look, laws are laws. This is why he went to law school. She was a lawyer. Like, you can't hire people to drive up and kill your husband, and to do this. You just can't. And it's unfortunate, but there are consequences to those actions, and hopefully they'll face them. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting to see the comments here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anything else that you would like to say about this Markel case and all the people on YouTube covering it?
I think I think that I think that's been one of the. Um, I think I hope that they'll get justice. I think we've been following it closely. Survivors had interviews with Georgia Kappelman, Fancy, mentor lawyer, Carl and John Steinbeck, Tim Jansen, the great Tim Jansen. We've had Ruth Markel on, and Karen, and we'll continue to do it. And I think that, if I had to make a prediction, I'd like to see some of the other Adelsons being charged. I don't know. I think Charlie is going to have a very hard time, winning that case, whether he's got Daniel Rashbaum, whether Johnny Cochran comes out from the grave and represents him, but I think that I've appreciated the people that we've gotten to know, this community. I think your tribe is your vibe. You meet different people, and I appreciate that, it's a nice community of people that I think their hearts are in the right place. And whatever you do, it should make you want to be a better person and to say, okay, like, what can we learn from this, and how could we edify other people, And so, like, podcasting or broadcasting is a intimate field, right? So you want to treat people like they're your friend. And with your friends, you share things with them and you expose them to things. And you want to expose them to things that, that they might be interested or solve a problem, so I'm glad that we've covered it, and I'd like to see justice for them and do what we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
So thank you guys out there. I'll try to take a look at the comments later, but sorry we couldn't address everything because we really just wanted to focus on reading the transcript. So really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life, Steve, to play Charlie Adelson. I still think it would have been funnier if you had a very low cut shirt, like some shirt with gold chains.
But again, I know I was trying to even just get a hat. We'll keep working on it. Again, first pancakes are lumpy. Next time.
Okay, good. So there'll be a next time for you.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you guys out there. I really appreciate all the hard work
Thanks for listening.
other people like Fancy are doing to bring more attention to the Markel case too. Have a great day then. See you at the next live stream.